What is going on, YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast. And today, my friends, we have episode 143. And as always, I have with me my boy Andrew. And we today are going to be talking tons of Browns news as we kind of sort of set the stage for the first preseason game that is coming up here on Saturday. So, Andrew, I know we got a lot going on with the sports world, at least in terms of Guardian stuff and Browns. Obviously, we won't get into Guardian stuff, but how we feeling? How we feeling right now?
I mean, feeling okay. Just the stuff hearing that we're getting from training camp, just it's very up and down as of late. It's not very positive or very reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of looking more towards like the same things we saw all last season. So I would not get my hopes up. So if I were any Browns fans, my advice would be to buckle in and that we're getting ready for the same exact season as last year.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to look like it's going to be any better. I think the players are going to be more fun, and I think there's going to be some really intriguing guys that I think we're going to fall in love with or we're going to hate.
And it's a very beneficial schedule too. It's the easiest schedule in the league, so things could happen.
Yeah, because I mean, there really were games last year where the Browns could have gone either way with some of those, those games like the Titans game, like they could have won that game.
The second Ravens game.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even that Bills game, like it was close. Yeah. It was weirdly close. The Bills did not play a good game. Josh Allen played horribly. So again, there were opportunities last year, and the Browns just they didn't have the quarterback play, and ultimately that's going to be what's going to help them win or lose more or less games. But the players are much better this year, I think, on the offensive end of things than they were last year. And I think it starts with that receiver room, which we are going to get into just in a little bit. But before we get started into all of that, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and shout out the boys at Effortless Wins for all of the love and support that they give us every single week.
Yeah, shout out to the boys Effortless Wins for sports betting advice and plays to boost your wins. Talk to Tony or Gray. The links will be in the description. Code just BSN for the discount. Guys, these guys have been awesome. They've been very supportive for us. They've been retweeting a lot of our stuff. They've been obviously promoting our stuff on their personal pages. So, guys, please go and check them out. We are in the midst of baseball. We're actually getting closer to the end of baseball season. We have one more month of baseball season left. We are in the middle of MLS being back from the World Cup. Again, NFL preseason just started. So we have NFL now, and college is right around the corner too. So now is the time to get into sports betting and get some, advice and some plays, because we're starting to head into the fall, and the fall is always the best time to sports bet because it's when all the sports are all going at one time. Again, you have, baseball, all the playoffs are end of September through October, early November is the World Series. You have MLS that goes until November. The finals is in December, so that's almost until Christmas. Then you have NFL in the midst of that, college football, college basketball. I mean, you have everything, NBA, NHL. So now is the time to get started because we are getting ready to come into the greatest time for sports. So it's time to lock in. Talk to Tony or Greg. Code just BSN26 for the discount.
Yes, sir. Yes, good stuff. But yeah, the guys, come on, man. We say it every week. They're good. Like they know what they're doing. They're great guys. They're really fun to talk with. So honestly, even if you guys just want to chat, about the betting, they will give you some solid advice, and they will literally just chat. Just chat you up. And then if you feel like you want to take your game to the next level, they will help you do it.
For sure.
So go check them out. Their Discord and stuff will be in the comments of the YouTube, and then obviously in the description of Spotify, as Andrew said. So back to business. Obviously we haven't been really as hyped for this Brown season as we have in previous years, and that's because you don't have Myles Garrett anymore, which means they have really kind of confirmed that we're getting ready to rebuild. However, before I get into the lows of like what this season could bring us, I do want to note that I actually think Andrew Berry is somewhat setting us up for a pretty solid 2027 and beyond. Because whatever that we decide for quarterback, like once we get that figured out, hopefully, and as Browns fans and even fans that aren't Browns fans, but see it from the inside out, you guys know, like the Browns have not had their luck at all with quarterbacks. I mean, look at the jersey of the long list of what is it now, like 34, 35 names, something stupid. It's probably up to 40 now. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know anymore. And honestly, I've lost count, and I don't want to keep losing count. I don't want to be known for that. But it's the facts, and it's just what it is. And the Browns have an opportunity this next coming season to draft a legit quarterback out of college that they can actually properly develop and really get going. And that's what they are playing for ultimately. And we have to look at the long game. But man, we do have some really solid guys, like some solid pieces that are really showing out. And I want to highlight the first ones, which it starts, as I said just a little bit ago, the wide receiver room. Night and day difference, like night and day difference of confidence, of just dogs. Denzel Boston has been a freak from day one. Everybody that has gone to these practices has said how great he has looked. And because of that, he's getting a spot in the ones. And that's an important thing to note because you have a guy like Jared Jeudy who had a rough year last year. He was obviously going through some personal stuff, which could have very well contributed to how poorly he played last year and how rough we all were on him because of it, because we had no idea what was going on. If he can even take just a small step forward and have less drops, having him play at a much higher level, having a Denzel Boston playing really well, and dude, KC has looked really good. He has caught a lot of really tough balls in this camp. Like if you look at the clips, man, every day he's going up high and he's getting everything. And his speed, his athleticism, like his playmaking ability, that is why the Browns drafted a guy like that. And as long as he stays healthy and he doesn't have many mistakes, he is going to be a very quality piece to this puzzle. And the Browns now give whoever is going to come into this quarterback room in 2027 and beyond a much better start, because most quarterbacks start with nothing. They start with an offensive line that's tore up. They start with a receiver room that is not solidified and has randoms, with maybe one guy that is like a solid player, but not he's just not a receiver one. He's like a receiver 3 on any other team, but a quality guy that got overpaid that they needed a roster spot for, and that's what they had to do. Most quarterbacks come into it, and that's what they face. Where the Browns kind of have a switch where they have a chance for a quarterback to come in with a pretty solid running back room and a pretty solid wide receiver room and a revamped O line. Who knows how that will work out? We still have tons of question marks about that, but they're young and they're different. So you got to see what they got. But at least you can applaud Barry in the amount of change that he made and the commitment that he made to, hey, we are playing for the future, not for right now. And although they did re-sign, obviously, Ward, they re-signed Delpit, which are two very important pieces to this defense. It keeps leaders in this defense. And then you keep building with guys like Mason Graham, Schlesinger, who's the kid out of Toledo? My goodness, I can't even think of his name. McNeil Warren. McNeil Warren. As soon as you said it, it came to my head. McNeil Warren. It's going to be phenomenal. He's flying around everywhere. Big body, safety. They have a bunch of pieces here, man. And Jared Verse. I mean, we've already kind of spoken a little bit about his leadership and like the way that he's kind of looked on. He's pushing guys, like, I mean, legitimately pushing them, but he is actually pushing these guys to be better. Him and Fanu have a fun rivalry going on that's like it's competitive and it's fun, but it's not like mean and like angry. It's just these are football players that just love to play football and they love to hit each other. And that's what the Browns have been missing for so many years. Because under Stefanski, it's just handshakes all around, handshakes all around. There's no real fight, and at least you're getting that from a guy like Monken. You're getting a guy with a little bit of energy. So yeah, we might win 5 games this year. Again, you're playing for a quarterback for in this draft. But at least this is something different and something a little bit more fun to look at and to see how it grows. And if it slowly develops, it looks better, then that's something to be proud of. So again, I think I've been saying this since day one of this year of just, hey, Browns fans, like this is going to be another rough year. And it's even more rough without Myles Garrett because now you're really committing to the tank in a sense. But there is definitely an upside to where we are right now that's going to be in the future. So I just want to note that. I just want to highlight that because that's what's going to keep replaying in my head every single week when we are losing to teams where it could get ugly. And you're like, man, we're not playing for this year. We're playing for next year. We're playing for next year. We're building a future. We're doing what we got to do. It's going to suck. So just accept it and enjoy the few moments that we may get this year. And we may get more. Like we may get some fun moments that this year with different guys. Enjoy the young group. Enjoy how much they continue to grow. And let's see what happens. Again, as you said, they have a weak schedule this year. That could play into their favor, and they could somehow win 7 or 8 games. That it could happen. Is it going to? I don't think so, but it's the NFL. Like literally anything can happen in the NFL. So that's pretty much where my mindset is going in before this first preseason game and really into the season, because I think it's a very hard concept for Browns fans for us to not be optimistic going into week 1 because, hey, it's a fresh start. But this year, quite different.
Yeah, it is quite different. And I think you brought up some great points. The one thing I heard you say was the whole Jared Verse and Fanu situation. I just want people to know because I've seen it on Twitter earlier today and the other times that they've had stuff going on because it happened again today where again they got into another little incident. But I want to reiterate to people that they're not fighting like they hate each other. This is probably the way that Jared Verse is preparing Spencer Fano for what the NFL is really like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's people are going to get into your face. People are going to get pissed at you. It's not like college where you block somebody and then everyone just goes and just does their own thing. And then you get back to the line. And no, people are going to get pissed. People are going to try and argue with you and fight you. And, you got to be mentally prepared for that stuff. Yeah. And I think Jared Verse is preparing him mentally. And not only that, too, but physically, because there's a reason why Fanu's going one-on-one with Jared Verse. It's because this kid is your future starting left tackle.
Yeah, he is.
And you need him to be prepped. And so far, I mean, it's working because there's times where Spencer Fanu got in the best of Jared Verse and blocked him and has chipped him and has done very well. And there's times where obviously Jared Verse just blows right by him and, Verse gets a sack. So it's not like Verse is completely upset with Fanu. It's just his way of preparing the young kid for what the NFL truly is. And it's a fight. It's a grind. Yep. So it's not like they actually hate each other because you could see photos of videos of them after practice, before practice, whatever, laughing, having a good time, chatting. Like they don't hate each other. Yeah. It's preparation. And the one thing I love about Jared Verse is he's treating these practices like it's an actual game. So of course he's going to get chirpy and he's going to get physical and he's going to get chippy. He's treating this like it's the actual game. And that's what we're told growing up when you play sports is practice like you play.
Yeah.
Because if you practice like you play, then if you practice really, really hard, you're going to play really, really hard.
Yep.
If you practice lazy, you're going to play lazy. So Jared Verse is showing some of these young guys at the tackle spot and just on the defensive side, like, look, practice hard, play hard. I'm gonna get into Fanu's face. Jared Verse got removed from a drill because he actually tackled Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
He actually sacked Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And for touching Deshaun Watson, he got told, "You're out of this drill because we told you can't touch the quarterback." And he physically tackled him. So this guy's not messing around.
No,
He's here to play football, and that's what I love about Jared Verse. He's here to play football, and he's teaching young guys, and we didn't see a whole lot of that from Miles.
Nope.
So I like what Jared Verse is doing. Now it's funny because a couple of my friends were saying I kind of wish Verse would have hit Watson a little bit harder, but
don't we all?
Yeah, and it's like, we kind of wish that, and not like wish it, because obviously we don't want anyone to be injured.
Right.
We want everyone to get a fair opportunity, because this is people's livelihoods and their careers, and they get paid to do this. So, you don't wish injury upon anyone, even you hate the crap out of that person. You don't want them to be injured because they're on your team. You want them to be out there and be healthy. So I just thought that was a little bit funny there, that he's like, oh, he could have tackled him a little bit harder. But
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's not something to argue. It's not something to fight about. It's just like, hey, it's just friendly banter. So don't take it too seriously. It's just friendly banter. But there's definitely a lot of takeaways from what we've seen so far in training camp and what we're looking forward to this Saturday, which is the first preseason game against Chicago. So there's definitely a lot of takeaways. The takeaways are the offensive line still looks like they're struggling quite a bit to block, because we're watching Watson and Shador get sacked quite a bit, and it's not something you want to see, especially when the Pats come on. So that needs worked on. Obviously, quarterback issues are still going to be quarterback issues. Defense looks incredible. I think the defense is going to be just as good as last year's. And I think this defense is going to be a little bit more consistent, because usually we start off when we had, God, it slipped away from my mind. Who's our defensive coordinator last year? Jim Schwartz. For some reason, it slipped my mind. Under Jim Schwartz, we've noticed this. I think it was the last couple of seasons where the first half of the season, it's amazing. The defense is unbeatable. You can't beat this defense. And then towards the second half of the season, it's like, okay, why are we crumbling a little bit? We're starting to crumble, and it's like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't think this defense will crumble much, because again, McNeil Warren looks super good. First looks really good. Delpit and Denzel look amazing. Obviously, Campbell looks solid, looks good. So these guys all look good. The defense, there's no question mark on the defensive side of the football. The defensive side is a big old thumbs up, check mark, whatever you want to put there. That defense is looking really good, and especially when you have the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
The one thing you want is a really good defense, because even though you're struggling to score, so is the other team. So all the games are going to be very, very close. But for the offense, again, the running backs, Judkins and Sampson, looks good. The wide receivers, very good. The only question marks, again, is the quarterbacks and the offensive line. Those are really the only things that we need checked off for this to be a good, complete football team. And you can see it's starting to get there, but it's not quite. I think the offensive line will eventually get there. I just think the biggest issue we have right now is the quarterback room.
Yeah,
everything lies.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's always going to start with the quarterback room, but Daryl Ryder actually just posted the unofficial depth chart for this week, and I'm staring at it right now, and it literally, like the QB says, Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders as the first and second quarterback, and then Dylan, and then Talon. But the funny thing is that with the receivers, they have 3 receivers on the depth chart. Usually they post 2, and then they'll do the running back, and then they'll do tight end and whatnot. So they have Jerry Jeudy, they have Boston, and they have KC as the 3 starters. But the guy that I kept forgetting about, and I think is going to have a very important piece to this puzzle as well this year, is Isaiah Bond. He's looked a lot better in camp. He's got a full camp in him now. I think he's going to be a burner. Like, I think he's going to be the guy between him and KC that are going to be those slot guys that are going to be able to really stretch the field, along with Boston, because Boston's going to be able to actually like go over top people and, really make some good plays. And then, dude, like you really still have some really solid guys. Like, obviously you got Jerry Jeudy. You got Tylan Wallace, who I think is more of a special teams guy. You have Corley, who had some moments last year, especially with like the reverse game and stuff like that. He was a little bit of a speedster. You still have Tillman on this roster, which I feel like he's going to end up being a trade piece somewhere. You still have LeVarden, which everybody loved last year. You still have Luke Floria, who we all fell in love with before he got hurt last year, and then he just didn't make the team because he got hurt and stayed on practice squad. But again, you have that. You still have Harold Fannin. You're gonna have Blake Whiteheart, Jack Stoll. You really haven't gotten to see Joe Royer yet, because I think he is not with the team currently. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I think he's dealing with some legal stuff or something, which typical Browns. But the fun piece too, again, is this line which you were talking about. And currently, the starting 5 on the line is going to be obviously Fanu. Zion Johnson is going to be our left guard. Elton Jenkins is going to be the center. Tevin Jenkins is going to be the right guard for now, and then Titus Howard is the right tackle. I know they've been kind of switching people around, and I know KT Leviston, who we hated last year as a tackle, they moved him inside to a guard, which I really like. I think that's a better piece for him. I feel like having him be more of a pulling guard and being able to use his body that way, it's going to help him. You still have Zach Zenter. He's been on this team for like 3 or 4 years out of Michigan and still hasn't done anything. But I do like having DeJuan Jones being that sort of swing tackle guy for you. And to be honest, I was kind of surprised I didn't try to put him in a guard role, or at least slide Titus in and still have him be like a right tackle. Like, I think you could do that, and then you just make yourself an even bigger line. But I think Tevin Jenkins gives you a little more flexibility at the guard to kind of, do the pulling guard stuff that you need a pulling guard to do. But you still got Judkins, you still got Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders, which everybody for some reason seems to love. We do technically have a fullback in Michael Burton, which is hilarious. Amani Marshall, which I loved him last year in camp. I loved him in the preseason. He was really, really good. Just didn't make a cut. But overall, like, the Browns offense is looking better this year than it had in previous years. And that's what I like. Like, I like that, you also have Parker Brailsford, who could end up becoming the starting center, and then you have Jenkins move to, a right guard as well. You could do that, and it would probably still work out in your favor, and that could be the end goal. Or who knows, they want to put Parker at the right guard. Like, I don't really know what their plan is right now, but they have options, and I think that's important. And then in terms of the defense, one guy that has been starting to make a lot of noise in camp that isn't really getting talked about, and he's finally coming into a camp healthy, is Mike Hall. With Malik Collins out right now, and he's probably not going to be playing for probably, I would say, the first few weeks because of that the injury that he sustained last year, later in the year. Mike Hall is going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of reps, and I like him being next to Jared Verse. The amount of fun stunts that you could do with him, along with still having Mason Graham in there, and obviously Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire. You have Hanu's brother, Logan, who has made some noise as well. You still have Aiden Huntington. I mean, he's a guy who played very, very well for us. Was a very productive, guy in that lineup. The defiant, defensive line, despite losing Miles, is still looking quality. It's not as elite as you're going to get with Miles, but it's still definitely doable, and it's young, but it's fun. This is a very fun defensive line. And then obviously, you got Carson, who's going to be insane. You have Quincy, Nathaniel Watson, who I believe didn't get to play last year because he got hurt. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how he's going to play. And then as of right now, the third linebacker that we currently have is Easton's. Oh God, this is a name, Easton Mascarenhas Arnold, and
I
then
think you
Winston
know
Reed,
it.
and then Winston Reed. And then obviously you got your corners, Tyson and Denzel, pretty straightforward. However, this is my biggest concern is the cornerback room, because if one of those guys go down, you have to go to guys like Miles Harden, D'Angelo Ross, Miles Bryant, Damari Mathis, like guys that we don't even know. We have 8 corners on this freaking team right now. Obviously, all of these guys aren't going to make it. But I'm really hoping that the Browns play like a 3 safety sort of thing where you're putting Emmanuel Warren in like a slot and having him be that guy, or have Hickman do it, or have Delpit do it. Like either one of those guys can play there, and I think that could do some damage as well. So the safeties obviously look better, but the cornerback room is so thin. I think the Browns have to try to see if a team is going to like cut a guy randomly, or make a trade for one of them during the preseason, because I think that's going to be something that you're going to have to do, because you just can't go with Miles Harden being your third or fourth cornerback off the depth. Like I don't have that much trust in him, man. And a lot of these guys from last year just don't really give me a lot of confidence. And that's what scares me for that. But I know I spoke a lot, man, but like the team doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's a lot of guys that a lot of people aren't going to be familiar with if they're not like ball knowers, but this is a pretty solid team, and there's still room to grow. It's early on in the season, obviously the preseason. But once this roster starts to really get set, we'll be able to really see the main pieces. So I'm excited about several of these guys. Is there anyone in particular that I didn't say, or that you just want to say again that you're just really, really stoked about seeing play?
The one I'm really most stoked to see play is McNeil Warren, just because I think this kid's gonna be insane in the NFL. Like,
Yeah,
the fact that, and it still blows my mind that the fact that he was able to drop to us and that no one would draft him. I'm like, because
yeah,
I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, why is nobody drafting this kid? This kid's a stud. And the fact, and it's the same with Denzel Boston. I'm on the Denzel Boston train too, and it's like these guys are falling to us, and you would think that like, oh, Denzel Boston would be like the first or second pick of the second round, and he fell to us a while. He went a while, and I'm like, oh my god, does nobody see the value in this kid? There's nobody see the value in
yeah.
McNeil Warren. And it's like,
I mean, he's a first round talent pretty much that fell in
yeah,
the second round. Like that's just crazy.
it was disgusting. And
We'll take it though.
no, and it's funny because I had this thought, and it might be a little crazy, but I was like, you know who Denzel Boston could become or remind me of?
I've already said it once, but go ahead.
Josh Gordon.
Okay. That is not the name that I was going to throw out there.
Who are you gonna say?
I was going to say Mike Evans, because he's literally a hybrid of Mike Evans, bro.
Yeah,
It's
he is,
almost like it's
and
almost too canny.
it's too canny. But I wanted to go more down the Browns route
Okay.
and go with a former Brown, and I was thinking Josh Gordon, just
Hmm.
the size, the physical stature,
Yeah.
the way this kid just can catch everything and anything. It's like, yeah, he's a lot like Mike Evans, and Mike Evans and Josh Gordon were very similar too. So in my head, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think we're both in the sense of we know this kid's going to be amazing. This kid's going to be really, really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's going to be, I think, the guy that's going to shine the most this season in terms of the receivers. And then there's several people that have said that because what he's done in camp has been so impressive. Like, and
Well,
Casey's going to be good. Like, don't get
and
me wrong, I
Casey's
think Casey's going to be good.
yeah, and if you've done mock drafts, whatever, Casey and Boston have been going pretty high, not like super high, but people have been really high on both of them. And I'm like, good. Let people be high on both of them because I think both are going to be great. And then the one guy you mentioned, Isaiah Bond's going to like the one thing I love about Bond is the fact that he's such a massive deep threat
Yeah,
because he gets off the line, he beats you on the line, and he's fast. And we know him and Shador connected multiple times last season. And I'm seeing it during training camp now, whether it's Deshaun or Shador connecting on Isaiah Bond on multiple deep balls. I think this guy is going to be a huge threat
yeah,
in a lot of these games. And another guy that has also looked actually kind of solid that was very surprising is Cedric Tillman.
yeah,
Ced Tillman's looking like he's a baller in this training camp too. So I guess you could say the biggest ones I'm excited to see is the wide receiver room because they just look so much better. And for like someone like Ced Tillman, I'm wondering if it's because a lot of the pressure's off of him
yeah, maybe.
to be something special and that he's able to play more freely. Same with like Isaiah Bond. Obviously not too much of Jerry Judy's name's been thrown out there. And I wouldn't expect that either. It's not saying that he's bad, obviously. It's just that I'd rather hear nothing from Jerry Judy, which means it tells me he's catching the football rather than, oh, Jerry Judy drops the ball again. Oh, another drop from Jerry Judy. Oh, another drop from Judy. So we haven't heard that during training camp. So I'm assuming Judy's catching the balls he's supposed to catch,
Right,
which is a
exactly.
positive sign.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think I actually literally saw a clip. I think it was yesterday of Tillman literally mossing somebody, and I was like, I bet. But like
yeah,
Denzel Boston, I think either today or yesterday,
I think it was yesterday.
he went over top Ward.
Yeah, he went over top of Ward and caught him. I was like,
Like
oof.
like that's what I mean. Like Denzel Bob Austin is going to be the guy I think at the end that could very well end up being like a receiver one. Like I think the guy that's going to have the most catches is probably going to be Fannin because of
Yeah.
just how big of a target he is, how well he played. He played last year, and it just makes sense. But the volume is going to be there. But
Mhm.
there's plenty of guys to throw to, and I mean, Boston is a guy that could very well just slide through and have 1,000-yard season or have close to it and have like 800
Yeah.
yards receiving in his first year. That would be a really good start to his career, and I think it would prove a lot of people right that hey, he could have gone first round, and the Browns got 2 first-round guys and one, and still got McNeil Warren as well. Like that 3 slot period right there was unbelievable, especially still getting Fanu. But like you still got a tackle who could very well play guard at some point. Like that's not
Yeah.
also like rule that out either. Like Fanu's a good enough athlete to where he could play guard if he ever needed to, or if the Browns still went out and said, we're gonna get a big left tackle, a true left tackle, and we're gonna slide you into left guard or hell right guard. And he'll be like, great, that's fine. Because Fauna is one of those guys that you can slide anywhere, and I feel like he's just going to compete and he's going to work his butt off. And it's so nice to see a guy that you draft that actually like cares about his work compared to Jed Wills, who just, didn't even care. And I don't even think that guy is even on a roster at this point. And if he is, I don't even know if he's doing anything. But it's a much different scene to go from a guy like that to seeing a guy like Fanu who just absolutely loves the game, loves to play the position, and just loves everything about football. Like, dude, he was almost in like tears when he met Joe Thomas, dude, earlier this week. Like, he was like, dude, I'm like literally next to my hero. Like, what is this? He's like, I'm nervous right
Yeah.
now. Like, and so like just seeing that and like recognizing that, like, okay, somebody actually gets it. And that's just the type of people that the Browns have to keep drafting because not only are they great players, they're great athletes, but they're also great people and they enjoy what it means to play, the game here. And that's how Browns fans can really start to like embrace you a lot. And once you get that, man, Browns fans are almost too loyal to the point where they will go to at war on Twitter for you. I mean, we see it with Shador fans. Like Shador fans are some of the most ruthless ones out there. That's why I don't even mess with them. Like, obviously, I'm more of a Sanders fan than I am Watson, but like,
Me too.
you will never catch me throwing strays at Shador ever. I will never do it just because I refuse to deal with the backlash that will come with it. Um, but yeah, man. We didn't even really talk about the game that's going to come up here against the Bears, but um, who do you think is going to start that first game? And my other question, which I did bring up earlier before we recorded, would you rather, as one of the quarterbacks, would you rather want to start this game against the Bears or start the following week against the Bills, which is a much better team and a much better time, I guess, to really get your reps in, both in the practice and in that game?
I think Deshaun gets to start on Saturday. I think it's just more so just because he's a veteran, and I think he's there's people are saying he's looked solid so far in the last couple of days. So I think you're gonna see Deshaun get the start just to see like again what he's got in game situations, and then I think Shador starts game 2 against Buffalo, and I think like you said, I agree. I think that's a bigger game. I think that's a more meaningful preseason game because it's a better team, better opportunity, and if say like he does showcase something and that he plays well, hey, like I'm I'm gonna be like, look, I'm sticking to my theory of we should just play him day one and just roll with that. I'm not playing games anymore with Deshaun. I would rather start Shador.
Yeah.
So I think Deshaun starts in Chicago. Then I think in a Bills game, I think it's Shador, and then I think they go split in game 3.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way to do it. Um, it's going to be interesting though, man, because
Mhm.
again, I do think that Shadur is going to get the first few games based off of
Mhm.
actually some of the conversations that you got to have with a guy named Zach Jackson, who was with the Athletic on your other podcast.
Mhm.
And you guys got a lot of good insight on this. He talked a lot, and I know you were saying this, so I will let you kind of go further into this, but he talked a little bit about how Shadur has had a little bit of trouble getting set at the line. And I'm just curious, like, how much of that is probably going to play into Monken trusting him early versus later on in the year. And I don't think that's going to be a bad thing for Shador if you let him sit out for the first 4,
Mhm.
5, maybe even 6 games and get through the tougher part of the schedule to then play the easier part of the schedule, have another month and a half, under your belt, and then have him go out and run the offense and do the things that he needs to do. Like, do you think that is a more realistic and healthier approach to this, or do you just say F it, just go start Shadur because we got to see what we got to see?
Well, I think it's the more so the option you mentioned of it could start Deshaun in the first few weeks because again, Zach Jackson mentioned the fact that Shador struggled to get the calls out to the huddle. He struggled to break out of the huddle, and he struggled to read what was in front of him and get guys set. And for anyone that knows, that's just the basic of what the NFL QB should be doing. I mean, like fresh out of college, that you should know how to break a huddle and get the line set up and read the defense and what they give you. That's just what you're supposed to know.
Yeah.
And they're the great quarterbacks, no matter who they were, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, the Mannings, whoever, they were great because they got to play, they broke the huddle, they got to the line, and they were able to process everything and get everybody set and either kill and change the play or get through their reads and make good throws and quick throws.
Yeah.
That's what made him so successful. That's what Shador is struggling with right now, according to Zach Jackson, is that he is not processing what the defense is showing him. He is not getting the guys set at the line, and he is struggling to break the huddle.
Yeah.
And those are just the basics. It's not saying that he's playing bad. Like, he's throwing the balls he's throwing are really good. I think he's averaging I think his completion percentage during training camp right now, if you count everything and do the math, is like 70% right now completion percentage, which is what he was in college. So it's not the play, it's just the stuff before the play.
Yeah.
So that's what he's struggling with, and that could have an effect on who starts and who doesn't, because you need these guys to get set. You need these guys to know what they're doing. Because if there's one slight miscommunication in reading the play call, you're going to have two receivers running into each other.
Yeah.
You're going to have a guy miss a block. And that's what we probably saw a lot last year was, oh, this guy ran free. Well, it could be because Shador didn't call the play correctly from the huddle, and it was a missed assignment. This guy heard this when he was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And it was a complete mess up. And I think that's where Shador is struggling, is breaking the huddle and reading the defense and getting guys lined up and doing what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
So that makes a massive difference.
Absolutely. It does. Because again, I don't think it's any secret at all that Shador is probably the better athlete, or I wouldn't say the better athlete, but the better quarterback in terms of his arm. He is a lot more confident in being able to throw the ball downfield, stretch the field a little more than Watson can. And honestly, physically, probably Watson can't anymore. Like, I don't really see him being able to throw the ball more than 20 yards at a time. Like, that may be his longest deep ball. I don't think you're going to see a deep shot to anybody a little bit more than maybe 40 yards. Like, that may be his max. The only thing about Shador that I get a little worrisome about when he does that stuff is sometimes, man, like, his spirals are not that tight lately. Like, I feel like he needs to work on tightening up those spirals and cleaning up the way he's throwing the ball. And again, a lot of these small things play a big factor into the NFL in terms of if you're going to start or not. But I do think that Monken is giving both guys a very fair shot at both of this.
Yes.
I really do. I think he's like, no, like, this is a legitimate competition. These guys all love each other, and they all are like really good teammates, and they're just going at it. And
it's not like what Stefanski did last year, where Stefanski gave everything to Deshaun Watson, he gave nothing to Shador, and said, "Oh, it was a fair QB battle."
Well, he didn't even give it to Watson because he was out, but it was more so Flacco and Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel was literally getting first team reps before Shador even got to get into like team drills and stuff. Like, Shador didn't get thrown into those team drills until much later on, and then he goes out and plays really well against the Panthers, and then gets hurt, and then he's sort of set back a little bit, and that could have messed up his timing as well. So again, like, I don't think any of us are saying that Shador isn't the better quarterback here, or isn't probably the better option, but I think early on, I think it's okay that he comes on a little slowly, so that way he really gets that that more one-on-one time with Monken and with the staff to be able to get him prepared. But that does also raise questions of, can he do it at the actual pro level consistently? Can he make those adjustments? Can he do all of those things pre-snap that ultimately get him ready? And he has done it in practice. Like, you do see him sort of having to make reads with the line saying, hey, slide protect here, or he does make those reads. It's just got to be quicker. So again, it's also not saying that he can't do it. He's got to be quicker. Everything is fast in this league, and we don't even know because we're not players, but like, the speed of this game is so quick, and sometimes people can get really ahead of themselves. And when that happens, it's really tough to get out of, man. So we might have to suffer with Watson throwing for 200 yards or less every game and throwing 2 picks and maybe throwing a score and maybe
Yeah.
running one in. Like that, I think we know what's going to happen. If he exceeds those sort of expectations, then great. But I just don't see that happening. So we're going to have to get through that for the first month or so before we get to Shedeur being able to play consistently. And then from there, you see what you got. And if it's chosen or if it's decided that he couldn't actually be a starter and that you want to move forward with him, great. If not, what I would rather do for them is I would honestly trade him and then just start fresh without him. And then that way you're not keeping on to that drama and you're just kind of removing yourself saying, hey, we're just going to move course. We, appreciate what you did. And then it moves his fans away. And then you just kind of go about your business and have the quarterback that you want and continue to build the team that you want. So that's my hope in the end. If that really is the course that they take, we'll see if that actually correlates. Another guy that I am really excited to see, I hope we get to see him at least a little bit on Saturday, is Taylor Green. I just want to see him play. Like, I just want to see him play. I just want to see what he does. Even if he makes a crap ton of mistakes, I don't care. I just want to see him play because he's 6'6". He's a monster. He's a freak athlete. He's really fun to watch. So I just want to see what he does. If he does bad, he does good. I don't care. I just want to see what he does. I want to see where he's at too. So like a lot of these rookies and a lot of these younger guys, I just want to see play because again, they're young and they're so unproven that hey, you want to see them take that next step. So that's honestly pretty much all I got. I mean,
Me too.
I don't really care to make a prediction. I'm just glad that football's back. We got some more games on Thursday as well, but you got some games on the weekend, and then man, the preseason is officially in full swing. And yeah, it's football season, baby. Like it's finally here. We can finally relax and just kind of enjoy it and get back into fantasy football, which we will talk about eventually. We'll do a fantasy football episode before the season begins. And then we'll start getting into our plays of the week again. Do all of the fun stuff that we did last year. And also, dude, we have to squeeze in some Ohio State talk at some point. We won't do it today, but we're getting closer and closer to that. We are just a few weeks away from the season opener, I believe, against Ball State. And listen, man, they're saying Julian Sain has put on some weight. He's up to like 6'1", 215, 220, which is about the size of believe of what Caleb Williams was coming into his first year in the NFL. So Julian Sain has put on some weight. They have Chris Henry Jr., along with obviously Jeremiah Smith, who between Julian Sain and Jeremiah could very well both be in the Heisman race this year, as well as another young, unproven defense that has some nice pieces that they added. There's a lot of good things to talk about with Ohio State. So we will obviously do that as well because I think it deserves one. We try to talk a good bit of Ohio State, and as long as the Browns suck this year, we will keep talking Ohio State. I have no problem with that. I love my Ohio State football. You got anything else for the people at home besides all of the rambling that I feel like I've done today because I've been talking my butt off?
Yeah. No, I just can't wait for Saturday to see what these guys can do. Obviously, the biggest thing is I just want to see Shedeur and Deshaun both play well because I just want to go into the season with a little bit of hope that one of these guys can do something this season. So I'm excited for Saturday. I can't wait to see what these guys can start doing, and I'm just excited that football's back.
Heck yeah. Absolutely, dude. Yes. I mean, look, there's nothing better than football season. There's nothing.
Absolutely.
Nothing beats it. Nothing tops it. You can't talk me out of it. It's the best time of the year. All of the good stuff's coming. So, yeah, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We will see you next week with God knows what other news is going to hit. Kind of hoping the Cavs finally make a trade. I don't know. There's been rumors of it for weeks. Nothing has happened. James Harden is still not a Cav technically. So we're just kind of on like a standstill right now, with the Cavs basically trying to like talk teams into taking on Schroeder or Strus or whoever, and so we'll see what happens with that. Probably some more Browns talk next week as well. But other than that, guys, we'll see you next time.